I know you represent a wide range of players, dozens of NBA, MLB, as well as NFL players, and I know each of them is different, but can you give me an overall sense about how they feel about their health and safety and whether they feel comfortable returning to play?
I think for the most part, they feel incredibly comfortable. The leagues have all done a great job. Obviously, there have been a few issues, mostly in baseball, mostly with one team. But where there has been a bubble, whether it's the National Women's Soccer League, the WNBA, obviously the NBA and the NHL, they have done a spectacular job. And it shows that, if you take the right protocols and have the right measures in place, that you can keep the players safe and you can produce a great product for TV. It's not obviously the full experience of a packed venue, but it's a great experience. And now that you've got some teams returning to their home markets, with the right precautions, and the NFL is obviously going to be next, you can execute a season. It's going to be a season clearly unlike any other, but you can have season, and that is, I think, good for everybody.
You represent a lot of NFL players. What do you think is going to happen with the NFL season, and how much money could be lost for lots of different people, including your company, should the season be cut short?
Well, look, if the season is cut short, it's just it's frankly just a pro rata adjustment for all parties. I imagine the NFL will do everything they can, and I expect them to be successful in having a full 16-game season. And I look forward to it. It clearly will be different in different cities. I imagine LA won't have fans, and Dallas will, or some version of some capacity. And you're going to have different things around the country. But, the games will be played. The broadcast will be on. I expect the ratings will be incredible. And people's excitement and engagement, just like they have been for the other sports that have started, will be up significantly.
Yeah, Casey, we certainly have seen a hunger for live sports and those ratings. Now, you mentioned the MLB, and I know you mentioned you represent a number of MLB players. They were battling with the team owners about getting paid for a full season when that season has obviously been shortened. How does that kind of conflict and all of these situations that we're seeing arise, how is that going to impact the way you negotiate with these leagues going forward?
Well, look, in the major leagues in this country, there is collective bargaining. So the players have a union, the owners have a bargaining committee. I don't think anybody, either side, is particularly happy with how the process went. I think they're happy to be playing baseball and having people talking about the great performances of great players playing for great teams on the field. But clearly the relationship between the players and the owners and the league in baseball would be at the lower end of the quality relationships compared to a league like the NBA. And so it's something everybody has to work on. There is going to be a labor conversation coming up, and all those things are going to be factors. And it's the reality we live in. Obviously, baseball has a history of labor disputes, and let's hope that calmer heads prevail in these uncertain times, and we can actually all work together to produce a great result, which is lots of baseball played on the field and in front of full stadiums.
Casey, I wonder what the premise of those conversations is going to be in a few months, meaning, teams really don't know if they have to budget for no gate revenue, exactly what that's going to mean for appetite for renewal of broadcast rights and everything else. I mean, do you see a major effort to shift the overall economics of any of these team player kind of equations or league finances through all this, or is everybody just in wait and see mode?
No, look, I think next year will be interesting in leagues that operate with salary caps, because salary cap is based on projected revenue. And if some percentage, whether it's depending on the league, 30, 40, 50% of your revenue is from tickets, and you have zero there, for example, in the NBA next year, if they ran the salary cap based on projected revenue with no fans, I imagine every NBA team would be in violation of salary cap today for committed contracts they have today for next season. And by the way, even if you cut the players, no other team could afford to sign them. So that's not a situation that produces a good result for anybody. I think what you have seen over the last decade is the leagues almost all evolved to where the players and the owners are truly partners. They are 50-50, essential gross revenue participants. And it has been good for the health of those sports. The media dollars are obviously the biggest piece of the pie. The fan dollars, sponsorship dollars, all those contribute. And they have produced extraordinary results for player salaries, but also for team valuations. And that means that the system is working. So I don't think you're going to see a big change in that. you're going to see some adjustments that are necessary and appropriate in a time like we are in, where you may not have any fans, which is a significant portion of the revenue. But that's appropriate, but those aren't long-term systemic changes.